First, Mᴜsɪᴄ, from which the shrine was named after, then Nanami, the pathetic human, now serving in the beloved shrine, Iɪn. Nanami appointed Iɪn as the new land god if ever she died. She was a human after all. Nanami died because she was going to save Kurama, but she was tricked and eaten by the yokai of the shrine. Tomo was outraged and heartbroken. Kurama was traumatized and hardly recovered once he was freed. Iɪn was an old family friend who Nanami loved dearly, though they didn't see much of each other. It was more so after Nanami learned how to be a god. Iɪn was 16 when she became the new land god, but is now 23, a human who is even more hopeless than Nanami. Is that possible? She is young and rebellious. This, of course, angers Tomo to no end. Iɪn had no interest in becoming the land god, but she had no interest in pawning the responsibility off on someone else. Deep down, her heart was pure, and that's what drew Nanami to her. The late land god could see the potential just as Mᴜsɪᴄ could see it in her. When Iɪn told Tomo, he was so angry he nearly destroyed the shrine. Tomo was angry because she told the yokai he believed she didn't care. When after he sort of calmed down, he could see the tears streaming down the girl's cheeks. She loved Nanami just as Tomo did, but was hard of showing it. 7 years have passed and Tomo has refused to accept Iɪn as the land god. First, Mᴜsɪᴄ abandoned him, then Nanami died, and now another human imbecile wished to imprison him. He thought of himself, how much will I have to endure before I can live a peaceful, long life alone? Iɪn believed that Tomo would never like her, no matter what she did, so she decided to stop showing him what she could do and did things in secret or away from him. The shrine spirits loved Iɪn dearly and would follow her everywhere, especially since Tomo wouldn't. They had to make sure nothing bad happened to her. Iɪn would go meet with humans who wished she heard and everything in her power to help them. Finally, one day, Tomo blew up. Iɪn told Tomo that she was going into town. At first, he had a flashback of when Mᴜsɪᴄ left, but he shook his head. He refused to let that haunt him, although, when she went, no one was with her. Kurama was walking by, on his way to record some songs for his new album. He saw Iɪn and his eyes widened. Flashbacks flooded his memory. Just as her name was about to exit his lips, another yokai walked up and started speaking with her. Iɪn, being the woman she is, liked to have fun when she sensed a yokai. She began to flirt with him when he tried eating her. Kurama could only stand there and watch. He didn't know if he should help or let her be, although he was shaken from his thoughts when Tomo kicked the yokai a feet away from her. Tomo vowed to never lose another master, not like the other ones. While the white fox battled the good-looking yokai, Iɪn was left unattended. Another yokai, not as good-looking, came up behind the young girl. He was about to gobble the youth in one bite, if Kurama didn't finally break from his trance once again. The pop star punched the yokai and grabbed Iɪn by the waist. "I'm not losing someone else," he whispered more to himself, but Iɪn could hear anyway. Iɪn held on as Kurama ran away from the scene. The Tengu took the youth back to the shrine and set her down. "Lady Iɪn, are you alright? Where is Master Tomo?" the shrine spirits asked in haste. "I'm right here," the white-haired beauty informs from behind the Tengu and his damsel. "Tomo, why did you save me? I thought you hated me." And Shidru, "Why'd you help me?" The pop star looked at his feet. "I refuse to let anyone else I care about die." The two males reply in unison. The land god's eyes widen, and she looks between the two males. "They care about me?" The silence between them was too much for Tomo, so he was first to speak. "I don't care about you. Although you are the land god and you refuse to give the responsibility to someone more qualified." "Not qualified?" How am I not qualified? I have done my duty since day one. Just because you refuse to recognize me as the land god does not mean I have not done what I'm supposed to do. Tomo, you have no right to tell me that I'm unqualified. Everyone was shocked, to say the least, at Hwaiin's outburst. Her chest heaved as she took deep breaths at a somewhat fast pace. Tomo was wide-eyed as his mind processed her words. Kurama slowly backed away. Where do you think you're going, Shinjiro? Hwaiin asked, looking at the Tengu. The idol stopped and looked at the god. I just thought this was more of you and Tomo thing, so I was gonna leave. Hwaiin shook her head. You saved me. Now I will make you dinner. Sit down at the table with Tomo and don't move. The two yokai were now scared of the youth, so they quickly sat at the table, while the god moved to the kitchen to make a nice meal for the three of them. Hwaiin hummed while she made pork cutlet bowls. When she finished, she brought the bowls and set them down in front of the two males, then sat between them. They picked up their chopsticks and began eating. Thank you for the meal, Hwaiin, Kurama said softly. Hwaiin smiles and nods. You're welcome, Shinjiro. They continue to eat. They finish, and the shrine spirits take the dishes away to wash and put them away. Hwaiin brought out the sacred steak that Mizaki made and poured some for all three of them. I want to play a game with you two. Hwaiin, I insist that you do not drink and go to bed. Tomo stands and folds his hands together and closes his eyes. You will sit down and play a game with Shinjiro and I. Hwaiin commands, and Tomo immediately sits down, his eyes wide. Sacred word binding, huh? Kurama asks quietly. Hwaiin sighs, looking down. Tomo grabs the sake and downs it like a shot. What game shall we play, mistress? Hwaiin ignored the fact that Tomo called her mistress for the first time and drank her sake. I want to play truth or dare. The two males sigh, but nod. As the night progresses and the more drunk they got, the more crazy the truths and dares became. Finally, Kurama dared Tomo to kiss Hwaiin. Without hesitation, Tomo leaned over and kissed the girl, straight on the lips, to which she kissed back. Hwaiin cups Tomo's face with both of her hands. He holds her waist and moves her into his lap. The god moves her hands into his white hair. Kurama whistles. Tomo runs his hands up and down her sides. Hwaiin moans softly against his lips, and pieces of clothing soon get thrown around the room. The shrine spirits help Kurama home as the two undress.
He's never gonna make it. All the poor people he's forsaken. Karma is always gonna chase him.